Picture a human from 100,000 years ago. Most people imagine something hunched over, ape-like, primitive. That image is almost entirely wrong. A person from 100,000 years ago would likely walk past you today without turning a single head. Their skeleton, their brain size, their basic face shape were already essentially modern. So what did they actually look like, and how do scientists even know any of this? Let's get into it. To understand 100,000 years ago, we need to know how far back Homo sapiens actually goes. For a long time, scientists believed our species emerged roughly 200,000 years ago, mainly in East Africa. In 2017, a discovery in Morocco completely reshaped that timeline. At a site called Jebel Irhoud, researchers uncovered fossils dated to roughly 300,000 years old. That pushed back the confirmed origin of Homo sapiens by an entire 100,000 years, essentially overnight. Here's the genuinely fascinating part. The face on these fossils looks remarkably modern, well within our range today. But the brain case behind that face was still noticeably elongated, more similar to older, more archaic human relatives. Researchers describe this as evolution happening face first, with brain shape catching up more gradually afterward. So what about specifically 100,000 years ago, 200,000 years after that Moroccan population? Fossils from sites in Israel called Skull and Kafsa, dated to around that same general period, show something striking. These individuals had skeletons, faces, and increasingly rounded brain cases that fall solidly within modern human variation. By this point, the most obvious remaining differences were fairly subtle, not the dramatic gap most people imagine. If you dress someone from this era in modern clothes, they would very plausibly blend into a crowd today. Now let's talk about something people often assume they already understand: ancient skin color. The common assumption is simple: early humans were uniformly dark-skinned, and lighter skin evolved later during migration. A landmark 2017 genetic study led by researcher Sarah Tishkoff revealed the real story is considerably more complicated. Surprisingly, some gene variants associated with lighter skin actually originated in Africa itself, not from later migration. Meanwhile, some dark-skin gene variants found in African populations are also shared with certain groups in Asia and Australia. Even earlier still, researchers believe the very first human ancestors likely had lighter skin, hidden beneath thick body hair. Darker skin likely evolved later, as body hair was gradually lost and skin became newly exposed to intense sunlight. The specific light-skin gene variant common in many Europeans today didn't become widespread until tens of thousands of years after our 100,000-year mark. Skin color, it turns out, has never been one simple, one-directional story. Body build also differed somewhat, though again, less dramatically than most people assume. Fossil evidence suggests many populations from this era were slightly more robust and muscular on average than typical people today. This likely reflects a physically demanding lifestyle, constant walking, hunting, and manual labor for daily survival. Even so, height and general proportions generally overlapped closely with the normal range of people alive today. Here's something genuinely wild to picture. 100,000 years ago, Homo sapiens wasn't the only human species around. Neanderthals lived across parts of Europe and Western Asia during this exact same period. Denisovans, identified mainly through DNA evidence, occupied parts of Asia around the same general time. Smaller-bodied human relatives, including the diminutive Homo floresiensis, may have still existed in parts of Southeast Asia too. For a significant stretch of history, multiple distinct human species genuinely shared the planet at the very same time. So how do scientists actually figure out what these ancient faces really look like? It starts with detailed measurements and three-dimensional scans of the fossil skull itself. Researchers compare bone structure, muscle attachment points, and proportions against known modern human anatomy. When preserved DNA is available, it can sometimes reveal genetic clues about traits like eye color or general pigmentation. Combining all of this evidence lets researchers build careful, scientifically informed reconstructions of ancient faces. Here's a genuinely remarkable connection between this era and people alive right now, including possibly you. Homo sapiens didn't just coexist with Neanderthals and Denisovans. In some regions, they also interbred with them.
Many people today carry small but genuinely measurable amounts of Neanderthal or Denisovan DNA as a direct result.
Some of these inherited genetic traits are believed to still subtly influence traits like immune response even now. It's a striking reminder that this era isn't just distant history. Its genetic fingerprint is still quietly present today.
There's also genuine evidence that people from this era weren't just physically modern, but behaviorally sophisticated too.
At Blombos Cave in South Africa, researchers found deliberately engraved ochre pieces dating back roughly this far.
These engravings show intentional, patterned designs, suggesting genuine symbolic or artistic thinking, not random marks. It's a powerful reminder that these were thoughtful, capable people, not the simplistic figures pop culture often imagines.
Quick pause before we continue. Take a guess. Do you think scientists can determine the exact eye color of every ancient fossil they discover? Not usually. This kind of specific detail generally requires well-preserved ancient DNA, which isn't always available. Without it, reconstructions rely more heavily on skeletal structure and reasonable, well-informed estimates instead. Let's clear up a few common myths before we wrap up. Myth 1: Humans from 100,000 years ago look dramatically different from people alive today. Not accurate.
Their skeletons and faces were already largely within the range of modern human variation. Myth 2: Early humans were uniformly one single skin tone, with no meaningful variation at all.
Not true. Genetic research shows skin color variation and complexity existed well before recorded history began. Myth 3: Homo sapiens was the only human species alive on Earth during this entire period. Not accurate. Neanderthals, Denisovans, and possibly other human relatives coexisted during the very same era.
Myth 4: People from this era lacked any real symbolic thinking, art, or meaningful cultural behavior.
Not true. Evidence like deliberately engraved ochre shows genuine symbolic and artistic capability.
Myth 5: Modern humans share no genetic connection at all to other ancient human species from this era.
Not accurate. Many people today carry measurable Neanderthal or Denisovan DNA from ancient interbreeding. Myth 6: All populations from 100,000 years ago looked essentially identical to one another everywhere. Not true.
Genuine physical variation existed across different regions and populations, just as it does today.
Let's wrap up with a few fun extra facts.
The Jebel Irhoud site was actually first discovered by accident back in the 1960s, during mining operations. Researchers initially misidentified the fossils, only correctly recognizing their true age decades later with better technology.
Scientists continue actively searching Africa for even older Homo sapiens fossils that might push this timeline back further still.
Our species' actual story keeps quietly getting rewritten as new evidence and technology continue to emerge.
It's a genuinely humbling reminder of how much we're still learning about our own deep history. Okay, let's bring this all together.
By 100,000 years ago, humans already had skeletons, faces, and brains largely within modern range. The 2017 Jebel Irhoud discovery pushed our species' known origin back to roughly 300,000 years.
Skin color evolution turns out to be a genuinely complex, multi-directional story, not a simple one-way narrative. Multiple distinct human species, including Neanderthals and Denisovans, shared the planet during this exact same era. And genuine evidence of symbolic thinking shows these were thoughtful, capable people, not simplistic caricatures.
All from a species whose story keeps getting richer, and more surprising, the more evidence we uncover.
If this answered a question you never knew you had, that's exactly what this channel is about.
So if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and it takes about 2 seconds.
Drop a comment and tell me which part surprised you the most. Was it the Jebel Irhoud discovery? The skin color science? Let me know.
And if you like this video, go ahead and tap that like button.
It's a small click that genuinely helps this channel keep growing. There are hundreds of everyday questions just like this one waiting to be explored.
Stories about our own deep history you've never actually stopped to question.
That's what this channel is all about. toggling your curiosity on, one question at a time. One more thing before you go. Tap that notification bell too, so you actually see it when the next video drops. Next time, we're tackling why flamingos stand on one leg for hours without falling over. It's a surprisingly clever energy-saving trick, and you will not guess the mechanism. I'll see you in the next one.